So, welcome everyone to our webinar. Today we're going to be talking about the power of personal branding. It's our second webinar in a series of webinars we'll be hosting over the coming weeks, every Tuesday from 1 to 2, so check them out. For this personal branding webinar, we have some amazing Project Snapshot team members. Myself, Ali, we have Naomi, our other marketing manager, and then Allison and Vivian. And we're going to go into our introductions right now. So, here we go. Allison, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll go first. So my name is Allison Wagner. I'm a marketing advisor for the Project Snapshot marketing team. Shout out to Naomi and Ali for this. I'm a recent graduate from Mercy College in New York City. I finished university in 3 years with a dual major in marketing and finance. I am a digital marketing and advertising professional with 3+ years of diverse agency and client side internship experiences. And my basically go-to motto is, through media planning and digital strategy, I desire to help brands effectively tell and sell their stories. And a little bit more on a personal note, in my free time, I love staying active in the different female empowerment networking communities I'm in. I'm in around 3 or 4 different groups. I love attending concerts and seeing live music when that's possible. Obviously, can't right now with COVID. I love mentorship, and I also love reading nonfiction and dystopian novels.
Awesome. So hi, I'm Vivian. I'm the mentorship coordinator at Project Snapshot. I'm an incoming grade 11 student at RC Palmer Secondary. It's based in BC, Canada. And I'm passionate about public speaking and volunteering. I love volunteering a lot. It led me to start my own nonprofit, which is called Youth for BC, which is dedicated to empowering and supporting youth for life after high school. And as well as it led me to do free TEDx talks. You can find them on YouTube, or if you search up Vivian Tan TEDx. And I would say that my ultimate goal and vision that I kind of set for myself as of right now is that I want to help empower others to reach their own success. Because I believe that by helping each other, we help each other find our own successes.
All right, thank you so much, Allison and Vivian. And I think now's the time when I guess we get to introduce ourselves, Naomi and I. So Naomi, you want to start that?
Yes, for sure. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you for coming. We're super excited to just dive in right after our intros. So a little bit about me. I was born in Hong Kong and I was raised in New York, New York. So I've been a city girl my whole life. I'm currently a marketing management student. I am a rising sophomore at CUNY Brute College. And so a lot of my passion lies in the creative field of digital marketing, content creation. So, and a little more, I'm currently a marketing manager and mentor here at Project Snapshot. Just again, relays back to my passion for storytelling and all things creative. I really love telling Project Snapshot's brand of, being a student empowering organization, something I really believe in. And I'm also currently a content creator, and I do social media at Dive Chat and DJ Nicole Rose. I'm also currently a podcaster. Recently started that, so it's been really exciting, at Sup Babe, where I talk about lifestyle tips, how to live your best life, all that fun stuff. And I am an aspiring marketer and influencer. So yeah, just a little bit about me. And now I'll pass it on to Ali.
Hey guys, so I'm Ali. I'm also one of the marketing managers at Project Snapshot, and I'm really excited for this webinar. Personal branding for me is something that I've just started recently getting into. I'm a student at Ivy Business School in Western University, which is in Ontario. And for me, I'm kind of learning really recently about personal branding through these three, actually. Since I joined Project Snapshot, I've gained a lot of inspiration from Naomi, Vivian, and Allison for what it means to really brand yourself. It's something that's helped me change up my Instagram and my LinkedIn, and it's really inspiring me to take on such a new challenge. And so I'm really excited for this one. For me, this is going to be something, I'm coming from the perspective of a newcomer and ready just to learn more. So with that in mind, I think we're going to go into our agenda a little bit. Naomi, you want to take the floor?
For sure. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Cool. So just a little run through table of contents of what we're going to be covering today. Again, really exciting stuff. So first, we're all going to give a little intro of our personal branding story, how it's helped us, and what personal branding really means to us. And then second, we're going to hop into theory. So the importance of personal branding. And then third is methodology. So it's how to personally brand yourself. We know personal branding is something that's hard to really establish and own. So we're going to give you like a little rundown of how you can start if you feel like you don't have one, although you do, which we'll get into later. And fourth, we're going to get a little bit into self-confidence. So a little bit of like a mental health chat where, you know, you can own your brand, and we're going to show you and teach you how to do that today. And then we're going to end off with a classic Q&A. So we're going to take your questions at the very end. And as Ali just said, feel free to pop your questions literally anytime. We're going to run through the chat as we speak, and we will take the ones that show up a lot at the end.
All right, thank you so much, Naomi. And I guess now's the best time to start off our webinar. Really excited for this. So let's get a head start and talk about our personal branding story. Allison, what's personal branding mean to you, and how has it affected you or impacted your social media game and everything like that since you started?
Definitely. So my kind of journey with personal branding first started my freshman year of high school. It was kind of a time where, you know, figuring out what electives to take and what extracurriculars to join. And I, you know, one of my biggest mentors is my father, and he works in business. And so I was like, why not join some of the business clubs and business classes? So that's what I did. And I ended up meeting one of my, you know, to this day friends who was my teacher back then. And he encouraged me to make a LinkedIn my freshman year of high school, like 14, 15 years old. However, so long ago, I don't even remember. And, you know, I hadn't really had any experiences yet or jobs, but that's when I first took the step into, you know, creating my personal brand. What skill sets am I looking to create? How can I do that at a younger age so that, you know, when I got to university, I would have that personal brand to keep working on and have that foundation already set. So you know, now that I've graduated college, I've been constantly rebranding myself and taking ownership for my experiences and the different skills that I've, you know, attained and want to work on. And I can honestly say that, you know, creating my LinkedIn, transferring that over to my different social media pages and blogging and through my networking and relationships, that's honestly what's helped me land a lot of my internship experiences starting my freshman year of college. And it's also amazing, like Vivian herself in high school has a LinkedIn, and I highly recommend any of high schoolers that are on right now to look into making a LinkedIn and starting their personal branding journey.
Yeah, definitely have to agree with like starting in high school and starting early with LinkedIn, because you can definitely establish yourself there, and as well as network with a lot of people. And as for my story, I also started LinkedIn back when I was in grade 8. I kind of just made the profile and then I forgot about it for a while. And then I was around grade 9 where I kind of felt lost because I was in the accelerated program, so I had to choose some grade 11 courses, which meant that there was more options, as well as it kind of felt like a set path I needed to take. So I was kind of in a dilemma. But I realized that I kind of need to find out like who I was and kind of discover who I was. And that was kind of also a sense of a little bit of personal branding. So I did establish kind of my foundations of like my vision and as well as my goals there. And I would say how personal branding helped me. I would say it did help me discover a little bit of who I want to go, like the general path where I want to go, as well as who do I want others to perceive me. And also it gave me like a lot of opportunities. I would say when people know and remember you and you network with them, they would definitely help. If they have any opportunities for you, they'll definitely like offer you them. For example, I got invited to a youth summit to talk as a workshop because of my personal branding and how someone remembered me as a youth who wants to empower other youth and to help them reach their own success.
That's amazing. I mean, I can definitely agree on the fact that, you know, creating your personal brand and having that kind of first impression built into each other, you never know what doors that's going to open. And, you know, this person might know this person that can, you know, help you, you know, gain abilities to do TED Talks and public speak or help your business or get you internships. You never know who's going to meet and who can vouch for you on your personal brand. So in itself, it helps you create a network.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think personal branding, like you guys both just really well said, it's really also about discovering yourself and who you are. So I'll just give like a little story of me, and then I'll pass it on to Ali to also tell his personal branding story. But how I take personal branding is I ask myself these two questions. It's what is my story and what makes me unique? And I think at first I thought, like, I feel like nothing really made me unique. I felt like, you know, I'm a marketing student. I like fashion, I like beauty, but that's kind of it. You know, a lot of people like those things too, right? But honestly, like, your story is unique to yourself, even if you don't feel like it is. We all have a personal brand, whether we know it or not. We just really have to sit down, reflect, you know, start journaling, attend webinars like this, watch some TED Talks, and learn more about, you know, what makes me unique, what's my story. And so a little bit about myself, how I kind of approached it. I learned this, I would say, like junior year of high school, when I started looking for opportunities, started looking to meet more people. I thought to myself, what are 3 words that really stand out as who I am as a person? And these 3 words have stuck with me for a really long time. And when I'm in interviews, when I tell people, I try to, it's not like I try to express these words and also tell them through stories. So it's definitely creativity, innovation, and optimism, which I felt like really well described me. And I kind of built my story off from there. And it's like, ever since then, a lot of my internships, a lot of the people I've met have also been in the same journey as me. So it's just really nice to have a good personal brand, own it, whether it's strong or not. You know, everyone has a strong personal brand. You just really have to own it, be confident with it. And adding on to like Allison and Vivian's story of how they've gained a lot of internships and opportunities through personally branding themselves, I've definitely also experienced the same. Me expressing my passion for all things creative has landed me like a podcasting opportunity, which really randomly came only a few weeks ago. But personal brand is all about your uniqueness and your story. That's what it means to me.
I just wish I got into all this stuff like back in high school, like you guys. Vivian in grade 8, are you kidding me? Like, for me, personal branding, for me, LinkedIn even, let's not even go into personal branding yet. Like, LinkedIn for me was something that I started like actually developing and like focusing on in my first year of university, which is crazy considering that like I'm trying to go into business. You would think that maybe LinkedIn would be something I would develop earlier on, but no, it was definitely something that I had created an account for and thought, okay, this is something I can push to the side for now. It's not really a social media that I need to, you know, keep up to date. And then when I started getting a little more opportunities, I noticed that LinkedIn is such a critical part of that. And that personal branding aspect is even more and more important. And so I started to kind of develop that brand more and more, start to focus on what kind of content I can put out. And like Naomi said, how I can reflect my own personality on in this like social media space. That's what personal branding is to me. And I know for sure that that journey is definitely accelerated in the past couple of months where I've been working with Project Snapshot and getting to meet you guys and really just taking inspiration from all the little things that you guys have done with your social medias and your personal branding stories. And it's definitely impacted me. Like, I can say right now, literally 10 minutes ago, prior to this webinar, I updated my LinkedIn cover photo purely from inspiration from Vivian on her cover photo. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, if I hadn't got to meet you guys, and you know, I'm assuming that now these people who are going to meet you guys through this webinar, this is an amazing opportunity to learn more about personal branding and then take that inspiration for yourself.
For sure. And I just want to add on one last thing. I also love LinkedIn so much. Like, I'm on it all the time. It's really bad. But adding on to the importance of LinkedIn for your personal brand, I also think you can personally brand yourself offline. And it just really is about your personality, your story, what makes you unique. So personal brand is literally your story, whether it's online or offline.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
for sure.
And follows you wherever you go, whether it's personally or professional. It's basically your reputation in a way.
Exactly.
That's so true. It brings me to the next question though, which is like, what's the importance of personal branding? We've kind of gone into what it can be for us and how it can kind of go personal and professional, online or in person, but why is it so critical? What makes it so important for you guys?
Yeah, Vivian, do you want to start off with it?
Yeah, of course. So I would say, in a sense, personal branding is very important because it kind of gives you that starting point in discovering who you want to be, as well as how do you want others to perceive you. So basically, kind of a role model that you want to set, and kind of like that authentic person to you that you want others. So basically, the question you want to ask is, how do I want to make others feel when I show up. So I would say a personal brand is extremely important because there's a lot of people out there and it's kind of like the sea of people. But how do you stand out? Like what do you makes you unique? And I would say it's also very important, like as a high school student, whether it's applying to a job or whether it's getting an opportunity, especially public speaking opportunity, as well as applying to post-secondary. Especially with people who are looking over applicants, there's a lot of people. And I would say, especially with networking with others, there's also a lot of people. So kind of like what are the unique traits that make you stand out? And it also kind of makes you more trustworthy. It kind of gives you like there's some sort of sense of authority. For example, with other brands, why do you prioritize buying a brand of coffee, for example, Starbucks, over a no-name brand? And I would say it does open up a lot of doors, especially with TEDx talks, by establishing like kind of like what I value, like what I want to do, and my story behind why exactly did I want to do public speaking, as well as what can I bring. It basically helped me land like kind of not only one but three.
That's awesome. I mean, personal branding is so important in every aspect. And I think you made a great point. In like, it helps you figure out what you're passionate about, laying out your values, what you want to pursue further, especially in terms of like figuring out colleges and what you want to major in. And, starting that journey earlier on helped me figure out I wanted to for sure go and major in marketing and finance. And what college I wanted to go, I knew I wanted to be in New York City because that is where I thought my brand could take off and get the most opportunities later on. So, I mean, if we're looking at it at a very simple level, a brand itself is, marketing a product, a service, and who you are. So it's not just businesses that have brands, but people. You have a brand whether you know it or not. And that's why it's so important today in, the digital social media information age. Anyone, any company, anything can be Googled and something will probably pop up. So you have to take charge and own yourself, own what information you have about yourself online, who you are, what you're blogging about, what you're talking about. Use your voice for like creating a positive and influential brand and building that awareness around yourself for, whatever you want to represent. But it's more than just, who you are professionally, like on LinkedIn, but it's who you are personally. Like I love female empowerment. So I follow a bunch of brands and am talking to a bunch of women that work in all different industries, not just marketing and advertising, to talk to them, see what they're doing, how I can be not only a friend, but an asset and have that kind of mutual respect and benefit. And, taking charge that your personal brand is even the relationships that you have. And it doesn't just happen overnight. It's built across, your entire life. And it starts now. There's no wrong time to start building and cultivating and rebranding yourself.
Okay, I definitely have to agree with that. And especially in a sense, recently, Allison got a interview offer recently at a marketing agency. Give a kudos to her, by the way.
Thank you. I have my first round of interviews on Friday, and it actually resulted from my LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. And I would say with personal branding, it also gives you a very high chance of kind of getting that interview and as well as getting that offer for like the dream job or even like the dream post-secondary institution that you want to go into.
Mm-hmm. And we can go back to kind of what even Naomi said in her introduction about, her 3 keywords. Keywords, beyond representing that as your personal brand, actually writing them down in your profile makes you searchable and makes you pop up into these different opportunities. So even like writing a paragraph about yourself helps you bring your personal brand awareness to the world, especially online.
I have to completely agree. I know for myself that since I've started like to focus more on my LinkedIn and developing that personal brand, and being a little more active, even using just simple stuff like hashtags and all that stuff to keep more engaged and me more relevant in terms of search terms. I noticed that my LinkedIn views have gone up. My amount of people who reached out to me has gone up for sure. So a lot of those opportunities that I'm now getting, like the social media director opportunity that I got through Leap Canada, which is another startup I'm a part of, is just another opportunity I just saw through LinkedIn and that I made through those connections that I've developed as a result of my personal branding. I've had so many people now recently reach out to me and say that they were interested in connecting with me just based on the fact that my profile seemed to indicate that I'm some sort of marketing genius, which by no means I am. Like, I'm definitely not a marketing
Hey,
god,
confidence.
but exactly, it's that confidence, it's
Part of
that
the
personal branding that like
Yeah.
kind of shows off that I'm at least know something about marketing, that I'm interested in it, and that I'm ready to explore more. And that's kind of what's helped me so much in these past few weeks, for sure, in terms of getting opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna be marketing geniuses thanks to our marketing advisor, Allison. Shout out, shout out. But I have to agree with all of you. And I think something I want to add on is personal branding it's all about who you are right now, but it can also be who you want to be in the future. It's like, it's your goals, right? It's your passion, it's your ambition. Going back to LinkedIn, we all love LinkedIn a lot, but towards the end of my headline, it says aspiring marketer and influencer, which, as I said before, it's because I'm a very creative and innovative individual. So I love all things storytelling. I love all things creative. And it's part of my personal brand of who I want to be in the future, even though I'm not there right now. A lot of people have also connected with me and asked, oh, like, what makes you want to be an influencer? Oh, like, why do you want to do marketing in the future too? You know, even though you're doing marketing right now. So also think about goals you have. It doesn't have to be at a set time, just who do you want to be? So personal branding, I think goes both ways, right? It's who you are right now and who you want to be in the future.
Definitely.
I think it's also, like, again, like we've talked about LinkedIn, but it's even impacted the way I carry myself on other social media. I used to take Instagram as this place for me to flex on everyone in terms of where I go, which, I mean, is a great goal if you're 16 and don't care about professional development whatsoever, which is, again, no hate. But like, I think at some point when I realized that, like, I'm trying to develop that personal brand further, I took inspiration from, again, Naomi in this case, and I really thought to myself, what do I want to illustrate? What do I want people to recognize when they go to my Instagram or go to my profiles or go to, or even just see me in general or want to talk? And that really segued into that creative aspect of my personality and the whole graphic design part of my personality. And I really leaned into that with my profile development. I'm sure Vivian has the same story with her, like her like LinkedIn banner, I can imagine. And same thing with Allison.
Yeah, I mean, even like any visuals you put out there represents it, you know, your personal brand is your image too, like how you look, how you speak, how you cultivate relations, how you communicate with others. It's so broad and there's so many things that you can focus on, you know, at any point in time. It's all encompassing.
I would have to say that when personal branding, sometimes you could tie, for example, images or certain aspects or qualities to you. That's a part of personal branding too, and it makes you kind of remember something. For example, on LinkedIn, I have this coffee icon next to my name, and because the purpose of that is that I love online coffee chats, as well as I kind of like drinks, tea, especially bubble tea, and I also wanted the people to remember that, to know me, that I love bubble tea and I love online coffee chats. And when they know, if they see the coffee chat icon, they think of me. So that's kind of like tying it back in.
Right. It's like your own personal logo, essentially.
And
I just completely associate Vivian XYZT now with a coffee mug. I can't picture XYZ without the little T emoji right after. But that actually kind of segues really nicely into our next point, which is like how to personally brand yourself. Like, Vivian, you mentioned the T emoji, but I'm sure there's so many other techniques you've used in your past few years. Allison, I can imagine the same, in how you've now built that personal brand, how you've gotten to the point where now people are messaging you and like wanting to connect with you over this personal brand and trying to learn more from you. So do you guys want to talk about how you've approached this problem?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Vivian, do you want to start off?
Yeah, of course. I'll start off. So I would say the first step is kind of deciding who do you want to be as a person, for sure. Besides like your mission, vision, values, I would impact as well as your passions, I would say I use kind of like a personal SWOT. The SWOT is kind of more so the strengths, weaknesses, and the opportunities as well as your threats. Threats doesn't sound like intimidating. It's kind of like something that may hinder you from your opportunities, but it's kind of out of your control. The opportunities are those are what available to you, but there aren't something that you can't control. But what you can control is yourself, basically your strengths and weaknesses. So what are your unique talents and such that will help you, and what are some of the weaknesses that you need to improve upon. Oh yeah, by the way, I see like what's the XYZ stand for? So XY actually stands for my middle name, so Xin Yong, which is Mandarin. And okay, funny story. I was trying to make my custom LinkedIn URL. I'd highly recommend doing a custom LinkedIn URL just so it's more searchable on LinkedIn. And it was taken. So I was thinking, okay, how about I add a Z in there because I'm Gen Z as well as it sounds nice. So I added it in and it became part of my personal brand. And I would say afterwards, kind of define your target audience. So basically, you can't please everyone. I mean, it's really hard because you want to appeal to everyone, but ultimately it's something that you can't do. So it's kind of like, who do you want to network with that you could start off with? For example, if you're an aspiring marketer, you can network with other fellow marketers. And I would say to also figure out kind of your value propositions. So value propositions are kind of those unique things that make you unique. So who do you help and how do you help them? As well as kind of having a clear call to action. So basically, for example, for me, I say I help other youth define their own success. And basically, how do I help them? I help them through opportunities.
Oh. Did you cut out for a second?
Yeah, I think I cut out for a second.
Oh no.
Got it.
All
Back
good.
on.
It's all good.
What did you say?
I think I'm cutting out. Okay,
Allison,
let me
do you want to take it
to my phone?
and then we'll have. Oh, okay.
Okay, we're back on. Yeah, you keep going in and out. I'll just take over for a second. Yeah, classic remote working, and that just is how life rolls. So we'll go with it. My advice into, entering into personal branding, I first started out with making an elevator pitch. And I don't know if there's any other like business gurus out there, but so really it could be, I would recommend like just opening a Google Doc and writing a paragraph about yourself that kind of covers who you are, your key traits or, passions, values, and the impactful experiences you've had and how that translates into an added value to, let's say, that person, or creating that connection or adding value, let's say, to a company. So that's kind of when I started out with doing a personal elevator pitch for myself, just for networking events. So whenever I met a new professional, I would say, what school I went to, what I was majoring in, and what kind of internships I was looking for, and, what experiences have I had in like social media, campaign management, sales that I could offer to the table and help their brand tell their story. So that's kind of how I took on the professional mindset of personal branding. And, you can easily look up how to create an elevator pitch on Google, and there's tons of different resources you can use to cultivate that. But, more on a diver deep into personal branding, in terms of methodology, is in truth, your personal brand is who you are and how you portray yourself to the world. And this can also be known as a concept called identity capital. So I actually recently learned about identity capital from a book that I read, which I'll talk about later. But it's this concept created by a psychologist named Erik Erikson. And essentially, identity capital is the collection of our personal assets that we assemble over time. So it includes whatever goes on your resume or your LinkedIn profile, as well as your personal attributes, such as how we speak to one another, where we're from, how we solve problems, and even down to how we look. And we put all these together into like a huge basket, and it's called our identity capital. And that is what leads us to creating a more authentic personal brand. So we analyze all those things and, cultivate that personal brand as we go along. So my highest recommendation is kind of diving and investigating into your own identity capital, because at the end of the day, it's your story, it's your pitch, it's your elevator pitch, it's how you present yourself to other people. And it ends up, after you create that pitch, it kind of leads you to your why. Why are you passionate about marketing? Why do you want to go into advertising? For me, I want to help brands tell their stories effectively and bring out awareness to tell their story. So that's kind of my why, and all of my experiences in the different internships I've had has led me to that purpose. And that's what I present myself to companies and kind of what I talk about on my interviews. And that's when I highlight my past experiences at the relevant positions I've had. And it's our authenticity at the end of the day, your passions, the impact you want to make. And it's the energy. My motto and kind of what I live by is be the energy you want to attract. So be the brand that you want other people to see and be confident in. Because if you're not confident in yourself, no one else is going to be confident in you either.
That's a really, really good motto to live by. I really like that. And I think being genuine, one of the things you mentioned, being genuine about your personal branding is so, so important. Like if you're not illustrating something that you feel you are, it's going to really come across as inauthentic, and you'll end up just putting people off in a way. Like they won't be attracted to you as much as they'll be attracted to a brand that has nothing to do with you. And there'll be some kind of like dissonance between the two. I know for me, so this is like completely by chance, but I tend to wear a lot of monochromatic clothes because for me, I like that like style. And so that's kind of even led to my personal branding, where I've kept to a lot of either bold like colors like this yellow right here in a really monochromatic fashion, or I'll stick to my black and white shades. And just that color scheme is something that I know is kind of carried and trickled through all of my like social media platforms. For instance, I can talk to Instagram and say that I've recently just leaned into like shades of red, like really bold shades of red. And it's purely just because I found emojis that I really liked that were red and that looked nice and that I wanted to put in my bio, and I wanted everything to match. So I said, okay, here's red. So just simple, small things like that can be a big part of your personal brand.
Definitely.
But if you're not being genuine about it, if you're not trying to go for something that is important to you, then I feel like it'll definitely throw people off.
Yeah, and it'll
it's so
translate into how you speak about it. If you don't seem like that's really you yourself, forcing it, that's how it's going to come off.
Yeah. And I really like the points you guys both just made. Adding on to like Allison's point of the why, I think when you think about personal brand, you know, a lot of it is like your skill, your passion, your personality, and then you explain to people why that is. Like, why are you passionate about this? Why are you skilled in this? Like, why, you know, it should always be a question that pops up in your mind. And another tip I have to personally brand yourself is to do a personal branding exercise. So I was speaking with my mentor the other day, and I'd asked her, you know, how do I strengthen my personal brand to, you know, because in the future I want to be a marketing manager. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I have to start working on my personal brand. And then like Allison said, like have like a good elevator pitch so people know this is why I want to do what I want to do. So she made me do a personal branding exercise, which was pretty eye-opening. So she made me add pictures, kind of like creating my own mood board of colors that I liked and why I like those colors. And then I also thought of, again, like the 3 words that described who I was, and also opportunities and experiences and people I know and why I'm involved in those things. So I think definitely doing that personal branding exercise, whether it be writing, thinking out loud, I think definitely helps.
Alrighty, love your points, Naomi. I'm back, by the way. I don't know what happened to my internet, but it's okay, I'm back. So I would say I really love your point, Allison, about being very authentic, because not only is kind of off-putting to others, but it kind of makes you lose yourself in a way. I mean, you do feel lost in kind of like where do you want to go, like what your passions are. And ultimately, that will kind of bring regrets upon living a life that you want to be, as well as having a role model, like becoming the person that you want to be. And I would say, in order to kind of try to find yourself again, you should also try to get to know your story, kind of like what is the story that you want to tell people and what impact you want to provide. There's a reason why people remember stories. It's because a long, long time ago, kind of our main communication, passing down history, and why we remember it so much is through stories. And, you know, like those fairy tales such as Snow White and kind of like those Disney character stories, like why do we remember them so much? It's actually because they're stories. And by telling people your story, people can remember it better and therefore remember your personal brand.
That's a really good connection. I love like connecting that. I would have never connected to like, you know, all those classic fairy tales and fantasies. It's kind of, yeah, it's the same concept. I think that's a really cool idea.
This actually kind of perfectly segues into our next topic about the self-confidence and believing in your brand. We've talked about authenticity, and I kind of want to lean into that a little more. And can you guys like discuss specifically how important it is not just to be authentic, but be confident in yourself and your brand, and how important of a factor that it is in developing that personal brand?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Self-confidence in any aspect of life is, you know, the goal and the key. And it's not always the easiest to have, especially when, you know, you face rejection or failure, mistakes, and inevitably that's going to happen because that's how life works and you have to get through obstacles. But the most learning that you can do and the most self-confidence you can gain is bouncing back from those moments. And you know, I've had a whole self-confidence kind of journey as everyone does. I know my like freshman year of college, all of my, you know, friends in my business school were all getting their first internships the first semester. And, you know, we were all hard workers. We all had very similar resumes and experiences. And I was wondering, like, why did I keep getting rejected over and over from these companies and startups that I was applying to? And kept getting down on myself and not really believing in my brand and what I had to offer. And, you know, one after the other, when I would talk and network, I wasn't really exuding that confidence that, you know, would have people be confident in me. If you can't speak with confidence and you can't, you know, communicate with confidence about yourself and your story, kind of like how Vivian said, the person on the other end or the company on the other end is most likely possibly not going to believe in you either. So I'm not telling you to fake it, but there has to be some leeway to, you know, overcome things. You have to push yourself and believe in yourself for others to believe in you. And that can go, you can gain that self-confidence through, you know, in your free time, working on skills that you need to get better at, networking, meeting people, learning more from your friends that have different perspectives, and, you know, following companies you're interested in, reading. I gained so much through reading articles and following businesses because I'm passionate about that, and that can give me more confidence on knowledge, which, you know, can help with interviews. So that's kind of my take on the self-confidence aspect.
Mm-hmm. Wise words, by the way. Love it. And I would say I used to struggle with self-confidence a lot, in a sense that I kind of had imposter syndrome, in that I didn't believe in myself and what I had to offer. I was raised in a competitive environment, and where comparing each other and basically really trying, like try hard and try your best, as well as to try to stand out, was very common. And a lot of times I compared myself to other people, and it kind of got to me because it gave me a lot of insecurities, and it also kind of made me put myself down because I doubted who I was and my abilities. But then how do I start to believe in myself? Was that I realized that if I were to compare myself with others, it's that it's ultimately their paths and their success. But if I try like really hard to go on that same path, if I won't get the same results that I had for my expectations, I'll be very disappointed in myself and I'll keep putting myself down. And ultimately, their path and their success and their brand is different from mine. And everyone is definitely unique. And even though you may feel like you don't have like your success yet, if you put like all your hard work into it, and you believe that growing and having this growth mindset of learning and growing constantly, as well as even though there's adversity, or if there's something that's holding you back from from it, then I would say that by flipping it around and having a positive mindset about growing and improving your personal brand will make you have more confidence in yourself, and basically more confidence to step forward, to push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, as well as to establish your personal brand.
Yeah.
I really, really relate to this, actually. I think that's a big thing. Yeah, like, go off. But no, one of the things that bothered me so much when I was in high school was that I felt like I didn't have enough to share, or there wasn't something worthy of sharing. And it really affected like my self-confidence, and I didn't believe that I was good enough relative to others. I was seeing so many people pursue so many different opportunities. Even like now I'm comparing myself to Vivian. I'm thinking like, wow, 420 connections versus 2,000 LinkedIn connections. Yikes. But even then I'm thinking to myself now that like, if I try to follow people on their path, I'm only setting myself up for feeling down about myself, because I'm never going to like, not necessarily going to meet those expectations. Whereas if I try to carve my own path, try to stay genuine, that whole self-confidence and being authentic to your personal brand, you kind of make your own way in the world. And now the only expectation you have to clear, or only expectation you have to pass, is your own. And there's no concern about comparing yourself to others, because at that point, the only possible benchmark for yourself in terms of achievement is the benchmarks you set for yourself. And so that's so important. Like, this even on a mental health note, like, to try to not compare yourself as much to others, and really focus and drive yourself, and use your own benchmarks as your kind of core drive, is what's really going to help set you apart, clear your mind, feel better about yourself. And that self-confidence, like I said, will then translate into authenticity for your personal brand. So that's a really, really good point, Vivian.
I feel like I'm watching like motivational TED Talks on YouTube right now. I love it. But definitely adding on to all three of you guys, it is really important to just know your self-worth. It really doesn't even like matter if it's like professionally related. I know we're like talking a lot about LinkedIn and internship experiences and opportunities, although those are all really amazing things. It like, your personal brand isn't defined by how many internships you've had, right? It's not defined by how many people you know. It really doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. And I think at first, like, you guys all opened up and said, it's hard to build up that personal brand and be confident, because as a high schooler, I was looking for internships and I was like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I was like, oh shoot, like, I don't have any experience. So I feel like no one's going to want to take me as an intern. And so I didn't believe in myself. And little did I know, like, even as a high schooler, I had my brand. My brand was creativity, innovation, and staying positive. And just those three words, your personality at first is your brand. And as you advance and as you grow older, more internships, more opportunities will come your way. So again, like, it's not defined by your experiences, although it adds on to it. Your personal brand is just really who you are at the core, and all those other things, those really fun internships, experiences, networking opportunities will come later on when you believe in yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I also, a quick note, I recently finished this book. This is where kind of I got the concept of identity capital and started investigating my own identity capital. Highly recommend it. It's called The Defining Decade by Meg J. I'll put that in the chat. But it's a really quick read, and it kind of gives more insight on to creating a personal brand and why your 20s, like 20 through 30, are the most crucial period of time for self-development and how to not waste them. So highly recommend, even if you're not even in your 20s yet. Really good book. It's engaging. It's a quick read. And, I love reading. So for those readers out there, highly recommend it.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's a really good recommendation. Also, even on a side note, even if none of this clicks in, I think at this point, we're so bored in quarantine that we might as well get a good book to read. And if we can read something about personal branding, I'm sure that's something that will help us achieve that self-confidence, stay authentic, and then also help us get some opportunities in the future. So if you're going to take one thing away, for sure, take away that book.
Yes.
For sure. But I think, and it's 1:48, so we're going to try to lead into now some of those questions you guys have asked. We've got some really, really great questions from you guys. And so, of course, I want to answer as many as possible. So Naomi's actually going to go ahead and ask some of the questions you guys dropped in the chat to Allison, Vivian. Naomi, you want to take it away?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So one of the first questions I saw was, is LinkedIn the first platform to focus on when you personally brand yourself?
I guess that's kind of what I started with because I had, business as my pursuit and my mentor introduced me to it. But I wouldn't say it's the first place you need to start. It's kind of wherever you want to start, whether it be starting your own blog or even on your social media, like Ali talked about, kind of rebranding his Instagram because of Naomi and interacting with your relationships. Um, it can be really on anything, even on what you read and how that defines your conversations with people. Um, I don't think it has to just start on LinkedIn. I think we go back to LinkedIn in our conversations because it's a professional network and um, we're all really wanting to be marketers here, and that's kind of just a huge platform for what we are individually kind of pursuing. But that's just one place you can start. It doesn't have to be your starting point.
I definitely have to agree with it. There's kind of like no one way to start, like which social media platforms, but definitely ones that you're comfortable with. For example, if you want to do LinkedIn, you want to start being active, producing content, as well as connecting others and building your network, it's totally it for you. If not, that's okay. You could still do it on Facebook. I know that there's a lot of professional opportunities to basically network with others in Facebook groups, as well as on Instagram. There's also opportunities for you to showcase like your work and such. And last but not least, there's also Slack communities. For example, kind of like sharing your knowledge as well as gathering opportunities.
Yeah, and it can even be personal branding can start through going to extracurricular events at high school and events, networking events in college, or even just going to different events anywhere. It doesn't have to be just professional, personal. It can help create your own personal brand, discover passions and values and how you communicate.
It's also so important to note that there might be, I don't know if there are any of you guys in the chat that might not know what you want to do in the future. Like you might not know if you want to go to marketing or even business in general. And Allison mentioned that one of the reasons she went into LinkedIn earlier on is because she had that business mindset, which is important. Like if you are planning on going to business, I would wholeheartedly recommend starting a LinkedIn and developing your personal brand there. But if you don't know yet, that's so okay. Like you don't have to worry about being in the know, and just starting to develop that personal brand, regardless of what you want to do yet or what platform you're interested in. It doesn't really make a difference. Developing that personal brand is important regardless. And so I would just try to mention that if you're really active on Instagram or you have a good following there, or if you have a good following on Facebook, if you somehow still use MySpace, like just, develop a personal brand regardless. It's so critical, and try to focus on what it means to be you before you start trying to compare yourself to other people in other fields and other platforms.
Right.
Naomi, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, for sure. So it's, how much personal information should you add on LinkedIn?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good question.
Yeah, good one. I would say ones that you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
For sure on the internet, I know it's important to also prioritize privacy. So if there's like any personal details that you do not want to like include, that's totally okay. You could still not disclose them. But I would say for your story, if you do want to get a little bit personal and you feel that it is comfortable with you, definitely feel free to add it towards your personal brand.
I would almost prioritize as well. Like I'm a fan of a whole bunch of different things, but that doesn't necessarily always translate into my personal brand. I on my LinkedIn for myself, I put my LinkedIn URL in the chat if you want to check it out. I kind of in my summary talk about loving music and mentorship and travel and reading. Those are kind of the ones I prioritized. But you don't have to put your whole spiel on there because you still want to leave a little bit of mystery in my case, in my kind of definition of having something interesting to talk about. You don't want to put everything. You can just put a few things.
Yeah, I think answering that question as well is that when people connect with you, they'll often message you because they want to learn more. And if
Right.
you share literally everything about your life, there's not going to be much intrigue or interest in wanting to connect with you because they kind of already see everything they want to see on your profile. So for
Mhm.
instance, for me, I can say that I really like art. Like I enjoy making and producing music sometimes. But that's something that I would not include on my LinkedIn just because it's a personal hobby of mine and an interest. And it even might be something that I would want to do professionally, but I think that's something that would allow me to connect with people on a more personal level once they connect with me on LinkedIn due to other things that I think are more related to my personal brand. So if I want to focus on the creative aspect, I will, but I'm not going to mention maybe the music part of it as much as I might mention the graphic design and marketing aspect of it that will help me pursue those opportunities. And then once people connect with me for that stuff, the graphic design part, I might mention that, oh, I also really like this artistic, musical stuff. And then maybe we can connect and relate on a personal level. And that's how you develop those deeper connections.
Yeah, you start with kind of that goes back to your call to action. Like, what is your why of your LinkedIn profile? Is it to get an internship? Is it to connect with people who have graphic design opportunities or marketing opportunities? I think that's kind of how you lay out your profile on LinkedIn.
Yeah, for sure. And just adding on one last point until we get to the next question, it really is about how comfortable you are with sharing your information. I know a lot of people who, although a lot of content you see on LinkedIn is very catered towards professional development, like internships, jobs, a lot of people also write about like mental health, their failures. And the more open you are, like I feel like other people can also resonate and connect with you more. So again, it takes time to be vulnerable on LinkedIn, on the internet, but yeah, it comes with self-confidence and just believing in yourself. Yeah. So the next question is, how essential is LinkedIn to high schoolers?
I highly recommend starting on LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, I would say it's a great platform to start establishing your personal brand. And as for how do you make the most of it, that's I would say is kind of like the big question. The first thing is to complete your profile, because you're more likely to get a lot of views and also look more credible on the internet. And I would say after that, start connecting with people. The Project Snapshot team is also open to connections. Make sure to send like a personalized note. And I would say when connecting others, like kind of send like a personalized note just to know like, hey, I know you from this. It would be great that we can connect, which makes people feel special in a way. And I also say create some content. Not only does establish your authority, kind of like your authority, but to also kind of discover who you are as a person, like what type of personality you are, so people can get to know you, as well as to build kind of this following that you have.
I totally agree with everything you just said. And to kind of branch it to a question that's a little bit below that on, when you're in high school, if you don't have the tangible experiences of like work experience or, not necessarily like a ton of extracurriculars or volunteer experience, like there's a lot of different things that LinkedIn has that you can, build your personal brand with. Starting with your headline, your summary of your like what you want to do and who you want to connect with, and then your experiences will come along with that. Once you start cultivating it, you can put in your skill sets, follow different companies, like Vivian said, create content. We all have a voice. We all have personal experiences that sometimes can translate professionally, whether it be self-confidence, talking about your own personal brand, TED Talks, public speaking. That doesn't necessarily always result from your high school experiences, but outside experiences. I think that you have to be creative. You have to dive deep into who you are, and it doesn't always have to just be kind of the what do you call it? Kind of the standard way of doing it.
Right. And plugging our webinar next week, we're going to break down how to use LinkedIn and personal branding on LinkedIn. So that's next Tuesday, 1 to 2 ET. The next question is, how do you get over self-doubt when building up your brand?
Big question. Who wants to start? I can, if whatever, whoever wants.
Okay, I would say for self-doubt, it kind of can be like very negative thoughts. So it's important to be aware that, okay, I'm thinking about it. It's important to find out the root cause, like why am I feeling it? Is it because there's someone better than me out in the community? I could do as an example. So if there's someone that I feel that is better than me and is way more confident, then I cannot doubt myself and my abilities. And what I do is that, okay, I look at myself and I say, okay, what do I currently have? And basically, once I realize that I still do have like some experience, I still have a personality I want to like, and their path is their path is my path. But if there's someone that I admire then, and I'm kind of feeling jealous of that, it's like, okay, instead of kind of sulking and kind of putting myself down, what can I do to get to that place where I want to be?
No, yeah, that's key. I kind of do the same thing as I do like a pros and cons list of kind of whatever self-doubt battle I'm facing. What are the pros on my side and what are the cons? Like what's causing my self-doubt, whether it be rejection or failure, or making a mistake on a project or at work, or just not feeling confident in myself. I make that list and then I go in to see what can I control and what can't I control. Because sometimes you can't control things. Like I had a job offer right after I graduated and it got taken away because of COVID and the environment of marketing. A lot of agencies went on a hiring freeze. That wasn't something that I could control. You can't stress over that, like Naomi just said. But there's things that you can do to improve your self-doubt, whether it be, talking to people that you admire or that maybe you compare yourself to, and figure out how can you better yourself, or how can you be confident on the things that you aren't feeling confident on. For me, it was like I dove deep into finding more things and applying to more jobs, that opportunities that were out there, and not feeling, sad about my rejection and the opportunity got taken away, but looking for new things that, everything happens for a reason in my mindset. So it's kind of like, how do you adapt and how can you take that self-doubt and turn it into motivation for what's in the future?
Yeah, that's perfect. And we just hit the 2 p.m. ET mark. So thank you guys so much. If Ali, you want to hop on to the next slide real quick?
Yeah, sure. By the way, I want to apologize for cutting out there for a second. My internet also messed up. So Vivian and I, you are in the same boat now. We both have pretty bad internet, I guess. But I want to thank everyone for showing up. This was such a great time. I know I learned a lot, and I'm hoping you guys learned a lot too. We had, I believe, at some point over 35 participants, which is amazing. We're definitely moving up, and I'm really grateful for that. So if you guys want to stay tuned and learn more from us, we are doing a webinar every single Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. So we'll be posting about that on our LinkedIn, as well as our Instagram, as well as our Facebook. So if you ever want to learn more or want to be more involved with Project Snapshot, please do so and just check it out. And if you haven't seen our LinkedIns already, we put them up on the screen right here. So if you want to connect with us, follow us, learn more about us, and speak to us directly, please do so. And I think that's it.
Awesome.
So
Thanks for having
if we have nothing else to add, I hope you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. Bye.
Yeah. And if we didn't answer your questions today, feel free to connect with us and throw us your questions there.
Yeah.
Our inboxes are always open, so feel free to shoot us a message.
Yes.
Thanks,
Yes,
everyone.
I want more connections.